stained with the corruption of dogs and carrion birds that glut themselves on the corpse of Oedipus' son. The gods are deaf when we pray to them. Their fire recoils from our offering. Their birds of omen have no cry of comfort, for they are gorged with the thick blood of the dead. Oh, my son, these are no trifles. Think. All men make mistakes, but a good man yields when he knows his course is wrong and repairs the evil. The only crime is pride. Give in to the dead man, then. Do not fight with a corpse. What glory is it to kill a man who is dead?
Right?
Think, I beg you. It is for your own good that I speak as I do. You should be able to yield for your own good. It seems that prophets have made...
All right, let's pause for a moment before we get on to how Creon responds. Let's just put it in our notes. Tiresias comes in, three things. One, Tiresias says, I'm blind, which is why I got to have this young boy. He leads me. But, two, we put birds on the altar, cut open their guts, and started looking, and bad sign, really bad sign. Three, what, he says, is wrong with you? Are you serious with me right now? Look on page 850. He says, I tell you, Creon, line 25, I tell you, Creon, you yourself have brought this calamity upon us. Ooh. In other words, he says, you've jacked all of us. Who is the us? What's the antecedent to the pronoun us here? The people. The very people that Creon said earlier, I'm most responsible for. Tiresias comes on stage and says, you who are responsible for all the people in Thebes, you have destroyed our town. What are you thinking? And of course, think is the key. Isn't it fascinating that oftentimes the older speak to the younger? By the way, remember, Tiresias is much older than Creon, right? That when the older speak to the younger, and the younger has screwed it up, often they will ask, what were you thinking? Isn't that funny? Notice, here's what he says. He says, think at line 34, 35. Oh, my son, these are no trifles. Think, all men make mistakes, but a good man yields when he knows his course is wrong and repairs the evil. The only crime is hubris, pride. Give in to the dead man then. Notice this is interesting. Put it in your notes. Tiresias doesn't talk about the girl. He doesn't talk about Antigone. He talks about the real mistake that Creon made. You didn't properly bury the body of Oedipus' son, Polynices. That was a mistake. And for that, the gods are not listening to our prayers. Now, let's pay attention to the mirroring effect. Put this in your notes at 2b. The mirroring effect of the scene. Notice, earlier we had a young man talking to an old man, Haman to his daddy, about what he should do differently. And Haman's response, or Creon's response was immediately, you don't tell me what to do, I tell you what to do. Because I'm older, you're younger. But notice here, the older Tiresias will speak to Creon, and Creon, the younger man, now struggles to hear what he has to say. Are you ready for this? Creon will accuse Tiresias of being paid off and wanting money. A bribe. Tiresias, he's not going to stand for this. Here we go.
Made me their special province. All my life long I've been a kind of butt for the dull arrows of doddering fortune tellers. No, Tiresias, if your birds, if the great eagles of God himself should carry him stinking bit by bit to heaven, I would not yield.
Now who's Promethean?
I'm not afraid of pollution. No man can defile the gods. Do what you will. Go into business, make money, speculate in India gold or that synthetic gold from Sardis. Get rich otherwise than by consent to bury him.
851.
Tiresias, it is a sorry thing when a wise man sells his wisdom, lets out his words for hire. Ah, Creon, is there no man left in the world? To do what? Come, let's have the aphorism. No man who knows that wisdom outweighs any wealth, as surely as bribes are baser than any baseness. You are sick, Creon. You are deathly sick. As you say, it is not my place to challenge a prophet. Yet you have said my prophecy is for sale.
The generation of prophets has always loved gold.
The generation of kings has always loved brass.
You forget yourself. You are speaking to your king.
I know it. You are a king because of me.
You have a certain skill, but you have sold out.
King, you will drive me to words that...
Say them, say them. Only remember, I will not pay you for them.
No, you will find them too costly.
No doubt. Speak. Whatever you say, you will not change my will.
Here it comes. Watch this.
And take it to heart.
Line 75.
The time is not far off when you shall pay back corpse for corpse, flesh of your own flesh.
Uh-oh.
You have thrust the child of this world into living night. You have kept from the gods below the child that is theirs, the one in a grave before her death, the other dead, denied the grave. This is your crime, and the Furies and the dark gods of hell are swift with terrible punishment for you. Do you want to buy me now, Creon?
852.
Not many days, and your house will be full of men and women weeping, and curses will be hurled at you from far cities, grieving for sons unburied, left to rot before the walls of Thebes. These are my arrows, Creon. They are all for you. But come, child, lead me home.
To boy.
Let him waste his fine anger upon younger men. Maybe he will learn at last to control a wiser tongue and a better head.
Whoa. This is one of those moments, and maybe at 3B you've had this kind of situation, where somebody speaks to you and you realize you were wrong, and you were like way wrong, and all of a sudden it hits you like a sledgehammer, that somebody picked up a hammer and just banged you right on the front of your forehead. This is Tiresias. Tiresias goes to Creon. Whoa, whoa, whoa. Let me get this straight. You're telling me that you think I need money? And that I've been paid off to say this? Creon's so worked up. He's so emotional. He's one of those kind of guys that once it goes, it goes. Do you know people like this? Once it goes, it goes. He can't rein it back in. And he accuses Tiresias of bribery and greed. And it leads Tiresias to say it, to make the prediction. By the way, look at the genius of the repetition of the word you on 851. He says, you have thrust the child of this world into living night. You have kept from the gods below the child that is theirs. He brings together both Antigone and her brother, of course, who has not been properly buried. Do you see at line 83? He says, the Furies, that is to say, the Furies who are the demons from hell, the Furies, he says, are going to haunt you. And then on to page 852, not many days from now, your house will be full of weeping, crying, sorrow. He says it. There are my arrows, Creon. They are all for you. I've shot them. Take us back at 3A to the Troy tale. And remember, Apollo sits on his mountain and shoots those invisible arrows into the Greeks because they have defied the gods, namely Apollo. He says to his boy about Creon, let him waste his fine anger upon younger men. Maybe he will learn at last to control a wiser tongue in a better head. And there it is. The accusation. The problem for Creon is that he talks too much. And he doesn't think enough. Leaving Creon now alone with the chorus to decide what it is he's going to do. Let's put it in our notes. Here's the irony. We're coming to the end of the play now. Here's the irony. Creon, three things. One, Creon will admit Tiresias knows what he's talking about, and he's ready to make amends. Two, Creon will go bury the body of Polynices first. And then, three, go to release Antigone from the grave. The ironies will begin to mount. If he had gone to the grave of Antigone first, he would have been able to save both his son's life and Antigone's life. But that's not the order that he goes in. The order that he goes in is to go to take care of burying the body of Polynices. Let's watch this exchange really quickly. Here we go.
Exit Tiresias.
The old man has gone, king, but his words remain to plague us. I am old too, but I cannot remember that he was ever false.
That is true. It troubles me. Oh, it is hard to give in. But it is worse to risk everything for stubborn pride.
Creon, take my advice.
What shall I do?
Go quickly. Free Antigone from her vault and build a tomb for the body of Polynices.
You would have me do this?
Creon, yes, and it must be done at once. God moves swiftly to cancel the folly of stubborn men.
It is hard to deny the heart, but I will do it. I will not fight with destiny.
You must go yourself. You cannot leave it to others.
I will go. Bring axes, servants. Come with me to the tomb. I buried her. I will set her free. Oh, quickly, my mind misgives. The laws of the gods are mighty, and a man must serve them to the last day of his life.
Exit Creon.
All right, let's pause for a moment. The chorus says to Creon, dude, I think you're seriously jacked if you don't take this seriously, what this old man just said. When has he ever been wrong? Creon's like, you know what? You're right. Hey, did you read this line? Such a compelling line. See what he says? Okay, he says, oh, it's so hard to give in. Right? It's so hard to give in. That is to say, it's so hard to admit you've been wrong. When somebody's pointing it out to you, it's so hard to admit. And then did you see it? Next line. Stubborn pride. This is why most readers, critical readers of this play Antigone, understand that the original understanding of the protagonist was not Antigone, but rather Creon. Creon is the one with whom the audience starts to witness what does it mean to have stubborn pride, and the way stubborn pride can take you down. And when you are finally taken down, jacked. Notice he says it again at line 109. He says, it's hard to deny the heart. I wanted to be right about this. I can't believe that I'm allowing... Okay, fine. Did you notice both occurrences here? We're going to go to Antigone first, and we're going to free her, and then we're going to bury the body of Polynices. The irony will be, in our last and final scene, that it'll be the opposite order. And because he goes and buries the body of Polynices first, by the time he gets to the grave, to the cave of Antigone, some serious tragedy is about to befall. We're going to take a little break, and then we'll come back to finish this amazing play. Thank you.